Dizzy Rich Penny back at it like can't stop, your boy's a true addict like money coming to me automatic like everything I do is cinematic like. Okay, you know what it is, you know who it is. You are tuning in to Outside Raps with your host, Dizzy D Spill. Man, it's been a minute. For those that have followed the pages and stuff like that, I've been making a lot of different decisions and transitions and getting into some things to kind of figure out what direction I was going to go with everything. But I definitely wanted to start these back up. So my apologies for the craziness, but I wanted to get into it. Outside Raps, right? So there's a couple topics that come to mind to me that I think are very, very important here on Outside Raps. And I wanted to start out with some of Ice Cube's comments about, he's kind of been doing a lot of interviews and they've been having some very interesting questions for Cube. But one of the things that stood out to me the most was his conversation on gatekeepers. And I thought that was such a relatable conversation because you always look at a gatekeeper conversation. If you're just a fan or you're somebody that is just into watching entertainment, spectating, if you will, it turns into this thing where it's like, wow, what is going on in Hollywood? But a lot of people don't know gatekeeping is a mental, it's like a mental concept. You know, it's a way of controlling things. So I really was feeling a lot of statements that Ice Cube was making. But I know he didn't go into detail, but I could relate because, you know, as somebody that's trying to grow their brand, multiple brands at the same time, it does seem like people, you know, they try to gatekeep, and it seems to come from intimidation, you know, some form of fear or just, you know, some weird energy on that type of level. So I just thought it would be interesting to touch on that. But he definitely was using his example as far as the big three and, you know, some of the allegations about how he feels the NBA feels about the big three and small things that he feels that they're doing to make his experience more difficult. And I'm not going to say I personally go through that or went through that, but what I will say is that is a real thing no matter what level it's on. A lot of times when you're trying to come up as an independent artist or just as a small business owner, you run into that same thing because it could be people that appear that they've made it, seeing you come along and they may get a little intimidated, especially if they see that, you know, you have some ideas that they didn't think of, or you have an innovative way of doing things that they're not doing. So now they see you as competition instead of seeing you as somebody they can learn from or work with. Black people struggle with this a lot. I talk about it on the Notion podcast with the guys. But the gatekeeping concept is a real thing. And sometimes some people don't realize that the people around them have a gatekeeping mentality. It's not about really being a keeper. I think it's more about the mentality. Your family, your friends, they could have a gatekeeping mentality where it's like, well, I'm not going to finance your career by, you know, or finance your business. I'm not going to be, you know, some sucker. I know what you're really about behind closed doors. I remember when you used to wet the bed or whatever the case is, right? So they don't want to invest in you or they don't want to promote you until you're cool it's almost like until you're cool outside of the circle. When you become cool outside of the homies, when you become cool outside of the family, when everybody around them makes you sound cool or it makes it cool to support you, that's when they do it. So to me, it's more of a gatekeeping mentality, right? And so I think that when you get into the entertainment world, when you're on a level like an Ice Cube or somebody like that, they deal with other kinds of things that may be considered gatekeeping. Like, you know, we're not going to foot the budget for this, or you're affiliated with this person, or you didn't do this the way we wanted to do it, or whatever the case is. So we're going to make it difficult, or you didn't run this by us, or you didn't come try to work with us. So we're going to try to smash you. We're going to try to destroy you. We're going to try to make it difficult in every single way for you to be successful. You know, so that's kind of the concept that I got from it. My response to that, my solution to that is to and it may take a long time, is to just create a strong foundation and a strong circle. When you sit back and you look at all of the different people in the industry, when you look at Cash Money, when you look at G Unit, when you look at NWA, when you look at certain parts of Aftermath and Death Row and Bad Boy, they had momentum. All of them teams have momentum, and then there's smaller. I don't want to call them smaller, but smaller movements, Nelly and the Saint Lunatics and stuff like that. What people have to understand is all of those teams and those crews had momentum, and they capitalized off of the momentum. But I don't think enough of them, or the majority of them, had a strong foundation, because you see when the documentaries come out, the differences of opinions, the directions people went, different versions of stories that probably made things difficult for them to continue to be successful. And that's something that I think it needs to be worked on. I think if you can get the right crew together, and you guys have the right foundation, and those individuals in the crew know their role, they'll play their role. It's okay if they're multi-talented, but they always show up for their role. I think you can go a whole lot further. You can go a whole lot further that way. So that would be my response, and that would be my opinion as far as the gatekeeping concept is concerned. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the artists selling their catalogs. To me, it's wild, but I kind of understand why some artists are doing it. I believe that let's talk about the artist that's doing it. Dr. Dre was one of the big ones that was reported, selling his catalog for $200 million. Nelly selling his catalog for around 50. I think Drake sold his for around 400. Justin Bieber, I think, reportedly 200 million. So you have all these different celebrities. Tina Turner, before she passed, rest in peace, sold her catalog. I feel like artists like this do this because they understand that they don't fully own the masters to all these songs and all this music, music that's been recorded and produced and distributed under contract belongs to the label. So I think one of the unfortunate things about these things is people are getting their money now instead of waiting 10, 15, 20 years to get it. So that's cool. But, who did you sell to? What are their intentions? How will that impact the music industry? How will that impact your legacy? I think artists that do completely own everything, it might be a different type of situation. I think Master P also sold his stuff too, and Slim Thug spoke out on it. For those that know who Slim Thug is, he spoke out about it and basically was saying, why are a lot of artists doing this? Are you guys losing money? And some of them don't look like they need money, but we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. The only thing I can think of is because you don't fully own your masters, you would sell it, because I would think that if you did own your masters, people have to go straight to you, to the source, to use your music, and you can negotiate better deals. Before the late Nipsey Hussle passed away, he was all about that. I mean, all the way down to the label being called All Money In. You know what I mean? And so I think for independent artists, obviously, this wouldn't be necessary in my opinion, but I do understand some artists come up on hard times maybe, but it does seem like they need money because, right now in the digital age, the only way a lot of artists can make money is mainly doing shows, doing tours and stuff like that. So, that's a little, I don't know, it's a little different. It's a little different, but I understand. I mean, at least you're getting something. I just feel like when these artists sell their catalogs, they're selling it at a price that's worth probably 3 to 5 times less than what they're getting paid for. But who am I? I'm not on y'all level, right? Another thing that I had to talk about on Outside Raps. Oh, man. There's been this trend over the past few years with artists and their kids getting into it with you. I mean, Master P and Lil Romeo had their thing earlier this year. 50 Cent and his son Marcus, that's been an ugly situation. 50 pretty much disowned him. And then now the news is Lil Bootsy and his daughter. And I think the hard part about this is that it's us again. It's black folks, but the other thing is I believe that the majority of these artists, when they have these kids, they want to give them the life that they never have. They don't want them growing up in the hood and hearing gunshots and getting in fights and not going to the best schools, going to schools where there's no books, and the list goes on. So it does bother me, especially as a parent, where it's like you get online and now like all their family business is online. I think there was a scenario some years ago where it happened to Fabulous, where his a home matter ended up online, and I don't know if it's the kids that's doing it, if the kids are initiating it or what, but to the young people out there, whether you're famous or whether you're not, I'm telling you, it ain't nothing like not having your parent no more. So, listen to somebody that lost their father at a young age, and believe me, when I was a kid, I was not always crazy about my dad. Every time I got my butt whooped, it was, I don't like him, I can't stand him, or whatever the case it was. But my dad actually was a great person. He was the best father that he could be for me at the time. And it's just it's sad to see that. It's sad to see that kind of drama. It's embarrassing. We have so much work to do in so many different areas in the household, or just, as the main family nucleus. And so when I seen that, and I think it looked like it was over, like something happened with a car, material possessions is what trips me out. You can take it with you, but this is something that those material possessions don't ever replace the person. You may feel that way at that time, but you will get over it. Time will push you and cause you to get over it and just move past it and say, all right, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. So I really hope that more of these scenarios stay behind closed doors. People stop getting on live, stop getting on social media and posting all this drama, and they just figure it out off mic, off camera, away from the audience. A good friend of mine told me as teenagers, I always felt like he was wise before his time. My bro Dart told me, like, yo, if you ever want to squash a beef, or you ever want to, check the temperature on some beef with somebody, get them away from the audience and really have a conversation with them. Get them away from the crowd, really have a conversation with them. And I'll never forget it. Every time I've ever done that rah energy that a person has is not there when it's just you and them one-on-one. So I think having a one-on-one conversation where nobody can instigate it, nobody can hype you up and put a battery in your back, I think that's the best way to try to squash any beefs. And I just think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and it's embarrassing seeing that type of stuff go down on social media. I know people like it for the clicks and they want to share it and they want to give their commentary on it, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's embarrassing. So, yeah, I hope that changes. In a nutshell, I just hope that changes. Another thing that I had to put it out there. I had to. So over the past, I'll say, couple of weeks, there's been footage of brother Jamie Foxx, him looking well, looking like he's doing much better. And so now you have the conspiracy theorists. And I just want to ask, for the people that are conspiracy theorists, when something happens with a celebrity, and right now we're talking about Jamie Foxx, but I remember the same thing. People thought that people have always thought Michael Jackson was cloned. People have thought that Gucci Mane was like, it's like when people are doing better or doing better than you thought, or they have a little bit of difference in the way that they operate, they feel like, oh, that person is gone, they cloned him. Listen, please, in the comment section, please share where you get that thought process. I'm not trying to clown you. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just trying to get an understanding of how this conversation and these thoughts and these conspiracies, where did they start? What are you reading? What are you watching that's putting that on the brain and really pushing that information out there to be factual? But I will say with Jamie Foxx, I do find it confusing. When there's footage of him out on a boat or getting into a car, I'm not really hearing him talk. I'm not really seeing him do any interviews. And I know that content is put out there to to kind of shut people up as far as in what they were assuming and what they think is going on. But I just thought it was really strange. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is probably the most talented, if not top 5 most talented people in entertainment. He's done countless interviews, had countless conversations, addressed things numbers of times. So it did seem a little off that he didn't really, or hasn't really formally engaged with some form of an interview or address his fans. So I did find that a little strange, but I'm not really on the conspiracy theory train right now. I don't really know about that one yet. I'm not really, I don't know. But leave comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know why this is even a conversation. Yeah, the whole situation is crazy with what was reported about him. But where are you getting the thought processes? That's where I was gonna go with it. I gotta talk about another thing that's still kind of coming up in conversation, right? And it's the KeKe Palmer situation. Now, my thing, I don't want to say I'm late, but from what I seen with KeKe Palmer and her man, I'm assuming, was I seen a guy that wasn't necessarily upset with what she wore, but the behavior behind what she was doing. And from man to man, like, yeah, we gonna feel some type of way when somebody is doing what we supposed to be doing, to our lady, right? But I don't really think it was a clothing thing. I think that became the main conversation, and it's going. But in my opinion, I feel like KeKe Palmer and Usher is hot this year. KeKe Palmer getting some energy and some kudos for the post baby body. And Usher just, man, you get in fights with Chris Brown, serenading women, and so Chris, he's having a hot year this year. But I think that the thing that I wanted to address more was the debate between men and women. It seems like we find a reason to argue about everything when it comes to men and women and who should be doing what and how they should be dressing and who's a simp and who's broken. All this stuff, but I'll just give my 2 cents. I'll just give my 2 cents real quick about the KeKe Palmer situation, and I'm gonna leave it alone. My thing is, you have a right to feel the way you want to feel, and to be honest, you have the right to respond or react however you want to respond or react, but just be aware of the consequences and the repercussions that come with how you react. If I was in his shoes, would I feel away? Yeah, I would feel away. Would I address it publicly like that? That's not really my style. You sit down with your woman or you sit down with your significant other and you be like, hey, look, you can't be having me out here looking crazy because you doing X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah. I wanted to address comments to a lot of the women. There's a lot of women saying, oh, well, he didn't put no ring on her finger and this, that, and the other. For me, I think that's like a confusing statement, because what group of women is saying this? Because from the way I look at it, a lot of women in today's climate look at marriage as a piece of paper. So putting a ring on a woman's finger establishes what? And then you have women out there that do believe in marriage, but it's like, well, you're not going to be telling me where I can go and what I can wear and what I can do, even though most women feel like they have that control to be able to do that with their husbands. But we're not going to go in that rabbit hole. And then there's the guys that I feel like are caping. You're like, oh, he must be insecure and da-da-da. Now, I will admit, you may have a point there as far as in how he addressed the situation. But in my opinion, like, you're not in that man's mind. You're not in his household, so you don't know. There could have been a different conversation that came before that, and then that happened, and then that escalated things and made it worse. So for me, I just look at that like, the debate between who has the right or who doesn't, I don't really think is ever up to the comment section. I mean, I'm definitely with the smoke if you want to leave your take and disagree with what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like, when you guys are debating and arguing about what celebrities do, they might be all good and everything else, and y'all still arguing in the comment section, or y'all think he's this, or y'all think she's that, or oh, she's for the streets, or yeah, he ain't nothing, and he's a house dad, or whatever. Like, the comments is crazy. It really is. But I wanted to respond to some of the things that I seen that I thought was a little weird. Like, that was a weird statement. Like I said, the whole putting a ring on her finger, like, you know, to each his own, really. There's some women out there that operate like wives before they get the ring. There's some women that, you know, are wives and probably don't deserve to be a wife. And that goes the same thing with men. There's men out there that are getting married that have no business being married. Like, your behavior doesn't always, you don't operate based off what everybody else thinks. You operate based off of what you think and what you feel. But I will say it's never a great idea to put that out there publicly, because like everybody likes to say on social media, once you put it out on social media, you're giving everybody an opportunity to speak on it, right? So that's my take. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, man, I haven't really got a chance to get into a whole lot of new music. I've been listening to Killer Mike. I haven't even listened to the whole album, but so far, Killer Mike's album is going crazy right now. So for you guys listening to Outside Raps, in the comment section, please leave some music that you, or just recommend some music for me that you think I should be up on game with, and stuff like that, and let me know what you think, what's going on, and maybe some artists that I probably haven't heard of, or I didn't know drop. Please, yeah, share that information with me. Before I get out of here, I wanted to talk about one more thing. Something that was really, really hot on social media right now that people was talking about was Adam22 from the No Jumper podcast. Apparently, as far as background, they both did adult content, and his wife still does it, and she decided to do some more adult content with a black man or brother. And it seemed like he was getting a lot of flack for that. The way he was responding to it at the time was, hey, you know, yeah, of course, did I feel a little awkward? I mean, he seemed really chilled out. He seemed really chilled out. And so he got a lot of flack. I think it's wild, like that whole scenario. But at the same time, to each his own, man. Everybody operates different. Everybody don't jump rope the same way you jump rope, or shoot the free throw the way you shoot the free throw. But all I know is, for my opinion, I thought that was wild. Like, there's some people that just have more strength than I do as far as intolerance. I won't say strength, as that's downplaying myself. I'll say there's some people that have way more tolerance than me when it comes to certain scenarios. So I guess shout out to you, man. Y'all get y'all bag or do whatever. It's strange, though. It's strange, you know. Some people do some strange things for a piece of change, you know, or however it goes. But yeah, let me know what you think about some of the comments and some of the commentary that I have here on Outside Raps. Also, be sure to let me know what type of topics do you want me to cover here on Outside Raps. I'm back at it. You're going to see me a whole lot more. You're going to see me interviewing some local artists, or just interviewing up-and-coming artists. And I'll also be interviewing people outside of music. But I definitely wanted to break the ice and return and tap in with you guys. My apologies that it's been a minute for those that have been wanting to check out Outside Raps. But anyways, you already know what to do before you go. Like, subscribe, follow us on everything. I think I'm going to activate the threads today as well. But follow us on everything and tap in with your boy Dizzy D Spill. And for those that are local, or those that's really doing something with yourself, tap in with me and see what we can do about possibly getting the interview going. All right, until next time, peace out. Think I'm lying till they see the